Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you ever thought, is there just one thing, one single key that could unlock a way to get past all of life's struggles? Well, we're going to dive into an ancient text today that says, yes, there is. And it calls this key the most confidential knowledge.
So why is life so full of this constant grind? The competition, the stress, the anxiety. I mean, we've got science to protect us from bad weather or disease, right? But this text we're looking at today suggests there's a whole other kind of knowledge, one that promises to free us from, well, all the miseries of just existing.
And where does it say all this comes from? It's not our jobs. It's not society. No, according to this teaching, the root cause is emotional. It all comes down to one single, really powerful feeling.
And that feeling? It's envy. Simple as that. This text basically says envy is the engine that's always running in the background, pushing us to compete, to show off, to one-up each other. It's why we're so stressed out all the time, right? We're just climbing these ladders, not because we really want to, but because we can't stand the thought of someone else being on a higher rung.
And to really hammer this point home, the source puts envy right up against its total opposite, love. Just think about a mother and her child. There's zero competition there, right? It's all about sacrifice and being happy for the other's success. Envy? It's the complete reverse. It can't be happy when someone else does well. All it sees is a rival that needs to be taken down a peg.
Okay, and this is where the idea gets, well, pretty radical. The text takes it a step further. It says the root of all of our worldly envy comes from one single place, an envy of God. It's this deep, maybe even unconscious, desire to be the Supreme One, to be in charge. And that one desire, it claims, is what sets us up for a lifetime of conflict with, well, everyone and everything.
So if envy is the problem, what's the solution? If envy is the lock on the door to peace, what's the key? Well, the text gives us a word for it, anasuya. It's a Sanskrit word that means non-envious. And here's the crucial part. Before you can even begin to understand the deeper wisdom, your heart has to be clear of the very thing that's making you miserable. You have to get rid of the envy first.
All right, so let's say the heart is prepared. It's non-envious. What's the knowledge it gets? The text calls it something pretty grand. It calls it the king of all knowledge.
And we're not talking about just book smarts or some abstract theory here. This is described as a kind of realized wisdom, something that gives you a direct, personal experience of your true self. You know how other kinds of knowledge can get mixed up with wanting stuff, like money or fame? This knowledge, Raj Vidya, is said to be totally pure, completely free of all that.
So what's this knowledge like? Well, the text lays out a few key things. It's pure, it gives you a direct experience of the self, it's everlasting, but honestly, the most surprising one, for me anyway, is the last one. It is joyfully performed. This isn't about, grim discipline or painful sacrifices. Nope. This path is actually described as starting with things that are fun, like singing, dancing, even sharing food and ideas with people.
Now, as you can imagine, not everyone reacts to this knowledge in the same way. The text basically says people fall into two different camps, depending on what's going on inside.
And it's a real fork in the road. On one path, you have the mudhas, which means the deluded. They're just baffled by all this. They look at the divine and just see something ordinary, and their lives are kind of filled with frustration. But on the other path, you have the Mahatmas, or the great souls. They get it. They see this higher divine nature, and they take shelter in it.
And to explain how this taking shelter works, the source uses a brilliant analogy. Think of an embassy in a foreign country. Even though it's physically in, say, France, it operates under American law. It's protected by a different set of rules. Well, the text says a devotee is just like that. They might be living in the material world, but they're protected by a different set of laws, spiritual laws. They're under a kind of divine jurisdiction.
So you might be asking, okay, how do I actually do this? What does walking this path look like? And the answer is surprisingly simple. It's made to be accessible for literally anyone. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It's not about fancy, expensive rituals. It's all about your intention, your love. The text says you can offer something as simple as a leaf, a flower, or just a little bit of water. If you offer it with love, that's what counts. That's the whole thing.
And for anyone who chooses to walk this path of simple, loving offering, the text makes a really profound and very personal promise, a promise of protection.
And listen to how direct this is. It's not some vague, oh, things will work out kind of hope. The quote is, I carry what they lack,
and preserve what they have. The idea here is that the divine will personally step in, bring you what you need, and protect what you already have. It's a promise aimed squarely at getting rid of all that day-to-day material anxiety.
There's an incredible story from the tradition that illustrates this perfectly. So there's this scholar, right, Arjunacharya, and he's reading this very verse, and he just doesn't buy it. He thinks, no way God would personally carry things for someone. So he takes his pen and literally crosses the words out of the book. Later that day, he goes out to beg for food. While he's gone, 2 young boys show up at his house with a mountain of groceries. They tell his wife their master sent them. But here's the crazy part. His wife sees these fresh whip marks on their backs. When the scholar gets home and hears the story, it hits him. He realizes those marks on their backs appeared right where he'd struck the words out of the holy text.
And all of this protection culminates in this one ultimate assurance. It's stated so boldly, so clearly. Declare it boldly. My devotee never perishes. It's this absolute guarantee. Even if you mess up, even if you stumble, this path says you are never, ever truly lost or abandoned.
Okay, so let's just recap. We've talked about the core problem, envy. We've talked about the solution, this king of knowledge and devotion. And we've talked about the promise of divine protection. Now the text boils all of this down to one final ultimate instruction.
And this is presented as the most confidential piece of it all. This is the absolute essence of the path. It's a direct instruction on how to completely reorient your entire mind, your entire consciousness.
And it's not complicated. It's broken down into this super simple 4-part formula that you can apply to your daily life. This is the how-to. It's not about getting lost in philosophy. It's about actually transforming your inner world. And you do it through these 4 things: always thinking of me, becoming my devotee, worshiping me, and offering your respects to me.
So when you boil it all down, the core argument we've looked at today is this. You don't find lasting peace by trying to change your circumstances or the world around you. You find it by changing the object of your consciousness, by changing where you place your mind. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question that the text puts forward. If the root of all our misery is a distracted mind, a mind that's always envious of others, could the cure really be that simple? A focused mind, completely absorbed in love?